Hi everybody and welcome to the video. Welcome to the channel. For those of you that are aware, open events are a thing and it's all class related. So at the minute we do have P class and D class. So with them two classes in mind, let me start with D. So you're going to need your own cars and your own tunes. That's where I come in. I'm going to give you 3 cars that I'm going to be using for each class each week. I'm going to give you 3 D class cars. Starting off, I've got the Ford Puma. This, when I was younger, was one of my favourite cars. The Honda CRX SIR and the Toyota Sprinter Trueno or Trueno, however you say it. These are the 3 cars that I'm going to be giving you with the builds and the tunes and the setups. So, starting off with my favourite, the Ford Racing Puma. This is the 1999 one. There are the stats there: 1 speed, 3.7 braking, 3.9 handling and 2.0 acceleration. Not the strongest stats, to say the least. So, fuel and air is completely standard, likewise is engine. Platform and handling, I've got the race anti-roll bars on the front and on the rear, and the race springs, and a race weight reduction. Tyre compound, I've opted for the race tyre compound, but I've not touched the width of the tyres. And these are the alloys that I've put on. I don't know if they're heavy, light, or what, but they look heavy, to be fair. So they're the alloys that I've got on. And the rim size, I believe, is standard. Transmission, race transmission, likewise a race differential. And the driveline, the most I could put on was the street one. Aerodynamics, I've gone for the wing and the front bumper. I've not touched the hood or the side skirts, and the conversions are completely standard. So with that, let's hop into the tuning element. So tyre pressures, 32.0 psi on the front, 28.5 psi on the rear. The gearing, I've gone for 3.72 final drive. The first gear ratio is 3.62, second 2.42, third 1.81, fourth 1.45, fifth 1.21, and sixth 1.04. Alignment, I've gone for negative 1.4 on the front and 2.1 negative camber on the rear. Toes, I usually try and keep them 0. Unless I really have to, and the caster is at 7.0. Anti-roll bars, I've gone for max stiffness 40 and 40. It just works, it just stops that, well, stops the chassis rolling, to be fair, and these lower class cars do suffer from a lot of chassis rolls. So springs, I've gone for 674.5 on the front and 630.1 on the rear. Quite high, really, but it does work. Ride height, I've gone for 6.2 and 6.4. It will just help a bit with them curbs. Up stiffness, 3.9 on the front and 3.3 on the rear. Rebound stiffness on the front, 8.8 and 8.4. If you feel the car turns in a bit too quickly, increase the front rebound by 2 and the bump stiffness by 1, and it should level that out for you. But this was the balance that I found worked. Roll center, I've kept them 0 and 0, and the anti-geometry, I've got 5 on the front and 30.4 anti-squat on the rear. Downforce, minimum. You're not really going fast enough, let's be honest, to use any downforce, but I have opted for 50 on the front and 75 on the rear. Brakes, I haven't got race brakes installed, and 100 acceleration and 0 deceleration. So yeah, that's the tune for this one. Let's hop on to the next one. Right, so we move on to the Honda CRX, the 1991 CRX. So we've got speed 1.0 again, 4.0 braking, 3.8 handling, and 1.9 acceleration. Let's hop into the build itself. Fuel and air, again, standard. Engine, I've opted for a flywheel. I think I was struggling for PI, I'm not going to lie, so I opted for the Sport flywheel. Race brakes and chassis roll cage, they're all on race. Front and rear race anti-roll bars, likewise spring and dampers, and a sports weight reduction. Front tyre width and rear tyre width are stock, but the tyre compound again is on race. Wheels, I've opted for the lightest wheels, so as long as you opt for the lightest ones, you're good to go. And then race transmission, race differential, and a race driveline. Front aero and rear aero are both race. No rear bumper and no conversions. So let's hop into the fine tuning. So tyre pressures 30.0 psi front and 27.0 on the rear. Just felt like it worked for me. Final drive, I've not really twiddled with these too much, but if you do feel like you want to have a burn at it, just feel free. Use your own numbers, but this is what I've opted for. Final drive, 5.3, first, 2.89, 192, 145, 113, 092 and 076. Alignment, negative 1.4 on the front, negative 1.6 on the rear. Again, toe 0.0 and the front caster is at 7. Anti-roll bars, I've gone for 40 on the front and 40 on the rear. It seemed to work for me. Again, quite stiff, 693 pounds on the front, 557.2 on the rear. And again, just a few clicks above minimum to 7.1 front ride height and 7.7 rear ride height. It's got a higher bump at 7.0 and 4.8, 11.9 front rebound and 8.4 rear rebound. Roll center height offset, 2.4 front, 2.0 on the rear, 15.5 anti-dive and 60.3 anti-squat. Minimum downforce, because in D-Class you do not really need it. The cars aren't quick enough, you don't need it, trust me. Braking force, 48% and 150. Anything over that, I just seem to feel like it locked up. So 150 is a decent amount. And again, 100 acceleration and 0 deceleration. So that's the build for the CRX. Now, hopping into the final one of the Toyota Sprinter. Again, this is rear-wheel drive, this car. So fuel and air. This, we actually have an ignition and a supercharger installed. So you might need to up this to a decent level before, because obviously you'll need the conversions to put a supercharger in it. So yeah, I've gone for the street one, which is standard, but yeah, street ignition. Engine, completely stock. Platform and handling, brakes, race. Put a roll cage in it. Front and rear race anti-roll bars. Race springs and a sports weight reduction. Front tyre width, I've maxed out at 235 and the rear is maxed out at 255. And a race tyre compound. Wheels, I don't know which ones these are. They're not the lightest ones, they're these ones. So I've just got from the SC1 Motorismos. So yeah. Drivetrain, I've gone for a race gearbox, a race differential, and a street driveline. And conversions, this is the supercharger that I mentioned earlier. So let's hop into the tuning side. Now, we got 27.0 PSI front and 27.5 on the rear. 4.03 final drive ratio, 371, 250, 1.87, 150, 125, and 1.07. Feel free to pause the video or just keep rewinding it. Up to you, because I do run through these quite quick because they are, well, boring and you can see them on screen. Alignment, negative 1.6 front and negative 1.2 on the rear. 0.0 toes and 7.0 front caster. Anti-roll bars, I've gone for 40 and 40 yet again. Springs, 587.4 on the front and 542.2 on the rear. A bit less to the rear. I feel like these kind of boxy cars, especially when they're really rigid, do tend to snap oversteer. This kind of does help with it, so yeah, that's what I've opted for anyway, and it seems to have worked. And the minimum ride height, 3.3 front bump stiffness, 3.0 rear, and the rebound on the front is 8.1 and 7.7 rear rebound. Again, if you want the car to turn in a bit slower, increase these. If you want a bit more oversteer, increase the rears. Simple as that. Roll center height, 0 on the front and 0 on the rear. Anti-dive, 5.2, and anti-squat, 15.1. So not much anti-geometry whatsoever. Again, minimum downforce, 50 and 75. Braking balance, I've gone for 47%. It felt nice for me, a lot of turning, as well as stability on the brakes, and 160% braking force through the pressure. Anything more than that, I just felt like the tyres did initially lock up. So that's what I've opted for. Acceleration is at 100. And deceleration is at 16. So for those of you that are still here, nice one. Thank you. I do appreciate it. And it doesn't go unnoticed. These are the 3 cars that I'm going to be using for D-Class. So if you're going to be using them, happy days. Please let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always replying to comments. I do like getting involved with you. So Yeah, leave a comment down below if there's anything else that you'd change or anything that you'd do or recommend to, other viewers or even myself. It'd be greatly appreciated. But yeah, these are my 3 cars, and I hope to see you in the lobbies. Stay tuned for more.